Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on Schematic Saturday. Today, the focus is just sharing some of my favorite audio gear. And if you've never seen one of these before, this is well, I guess you would call it a second edition of the Quicksilver full function preamp made by Quicksilver Audio. And this is a really cool piece of gear. Now, I've wanted one of these for about 20 years, and I finally ran across one on eBay, and I grabbed it, and I didn't even know. Apparently, these early models, they came with two different types of rectifiers. So the first ones came out with a pair of 6x4 rectifiers, and then the late models came out with a 5AR4 rectifier, which was the one I was looking for. And then, about 10 years later, or somewhere down the road, Mike Sanders of Quicksilver Audio, they came out with a revised preamp, full feature preamp that had a built-in headphone amplifier, and I think it was pretty similar, but I think the rectification was solid state, if I remember. So when I bought this one, the guy was selling it. Apparently he bought it from an estate sale, and the guy had a large record collection, and he acquired it in that sale, and he didn't think it was working correctly, and he didn't want to mess with it, and so he just sold it. And I grabbed it, and I didn't even know what rectifier was in it, but it ended up being a 5AR4 version, and I am just so ecstatic. So here's a picture. I'll segue to a picture of when I first got this thing on the inside, and it was dirty, man. It was a lot of dust. Matter of fact, I've never seen a piece of electronic component in the last 30 years that had as much dust on the inside as this one. But there's a picture of the dust on the inside, but it cleaned up real nicely. Like if you look at it now, it looks really nice. And the cool thing about this type of gear from this time period is, man, the build quality is absolutely incredible. So here you have the power supply. You get a transformer. Here's that 5AO4. I think there's a choke back there and some ginormous capacitors. And then over here you have a line stage and a phono stage. And the line stage is on the left with those three tubes, and the phono stage is on the right. It's a moving magnet all tube phono stage, which is really cool. So you have, on the line stage, you have a 12AU7 going into a 12AX7, and then in the back for the driver tube, or I believe it's a cathode follower, is a 12FQ7, which is getting a little rare these days, but that doesn't trouble me at all, man. You can scoop them up on eBay when you want to. Just got to keep an eye out for them. And then on the phono stage, you have a 12AX7, again driving a 12FQ7 for the phono out. You see those two little brown resistors there? Those are the input resistors for the phono stage. Yeah, and you see they're different because they're a carbon comp resistor. And they're probably Allen Bradley's. How much you want to bet? So look, I mean, just looking at those two resistors, it's like having Mike Sanders having a conversation with them right here in lifetime, right? Because that's a very intentional design element. Like he specifically chose a couple carbon comps for the input resistors of the phono stage, right? And because they're a very unique sounding resistor. I mean, he could have just stuffed some, whatever metal films, but he's like, no, I'm going to put some Allen Bradley carbon comps in there, right? They're really a renowned resistor, and they're a favorite by tube amp builders everywhere. So I just think that is so cool. I think that is just really cool, right there. So, and then you have your coupling caps right there, right? The 0.56 for the phono stage that go between the 12AX7 and the 12FQ7. So here's a little look at the phono stage, and over here you have the input, and I guess this would be your loading resistor. And this 10K resistor, now this is that carbon film. This is that little carbon film that's there, the Allen Bradley's. So you go right into the 12AX7, and then we have our 0.056 microfarad cap, and then a couple resistors that are in line. And I don't know, I guess you could replace these with what? What do you think? Should we replace these with maybe some Audio Note tantalums or a couple Z foils, or just leave them be? I don't know. Or maybe this one's the important one. Would replacing this with a Z-foil maybe bring down the noise level, or it doesn't even matter? I mean, since you have that carbon film, I mean, noise probably isn't the biggest thing in this circuit. But anyways, that's always an option. And then you have, you're going into this 12FQ7, and then your 2 microfarad output cap, and out to the switch, and that's it. I mean, pretty simple. What a great phono stage, right? I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, look at this. Look at the build quality on this thing. These are real Tiffany RCAs. I don't even think you can get these anymore, okay? Here, I'll try to spin this thing around if I don't knock everything off of the thing. This is my ad hoc stand here. But look, you got real Tiffany gold RCAs, which, Cardis makes a good RCA now, and they're really expensive, but you just don't see this type of quality unless you're looking at a really expensive price point, $5K and up for a preamp, and then it probably doesn't even have a tube phono stage, right? And I mean, it's just really, really cool stuff, right? So then there's the rail cap, there's a nice shot of the rail cap again. And, somebody thinks that those are a polyester cap. Like, these are all polyester caps, but I mean, that PPMP is clearly a metallized polypropylene. So I don't know, what do you think? Do you recognize any numbers off these bad boys? Do you think those are actually film and foils in the phono stage? Or maybe over here in the line stage, the coupling caps, do you think those are film and foils? I don't know. Let me know. Write it in the comments. I'm guessing that, if Mike put in metallized polypropylenes, those got to at least be the same thing. I don't think they'd be polyesters. So I don't know. Maybe you tell me. So I thought we'd take a minute to look at this line stage, okay? Now, this thing is really cool, okay? This is really neat. This is the line stage. And over here, I don't know, my schematic reading skills is pretty primitive, just enough to get me in trouble. So I don't know why they have that arrow there. But anyways, right over here, there's just a 100K pot. I think it's a 100K pot, the volume control, one of the pots. This is one channel, right? So you have your 12AX7 triode right here, right? And the signal's coming in, and then it's going to your coupling cap. I think you would call that a coupling cap. It's a 0.27, like we talked about earlier. And then it goes into the, this is the 12AU7. And then through the 0.27 capacitor, and then into the 12AX7. And then it goes into the 12FQ7, right? Is that what it is? What we got here, 12FQ7, yep. 12FQ7 right there. So it goes into that, the cathode follower, and then into a 2 microfarad output capacitor, and then your RCA's right out, right? So look at this. So you notice something really interesting here? There's no resistors in the signal path. That's what I was talking about, right? There's no resistors in the signal path. Just basically 2 capacitors, right? So I think we're going to upgrade these bad boys. What do you think? What do you think we should put in here? So, I went over the options, but I mean, that's just a beautiful design. So yeah, there's some feedback. So you got some feedback. So here's the feedback resistor, I believe. This 31.6, and yeah, you got a little bit of feedback, but look what Mike chose for one of the feedback resistors. Again, like I mentioned, is these ginormous Dale wire wounds. Okay, I mean, just incredible. I mean, you really can't replace that with anything better. I don't think. All right, so we're taking another quick look at the front of this. Funny story. So I get this in the rack, right? My wife comes in and she says, "Man, that thing is really ugly. Like, are you going to keep that?" I'm like, "I think so." And she goes, "It looks like it's something off of a submarine." Right? And I said, "That's the dream." She goes, "That's the dream?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the dream, is to have, all your equipment look like something that's off of a nuclear submarine, I mean, am I wrong or what? Anyways, I think the thing's really classy looking, and we might re-chrome the handles and stuff here. They're a little worn, but man, I think this thing is just really, really, really cool. What is wrong with this phone and this lighting? Yeah, but look at that. Okay, so we have some cool options for doing some cap replacements here. Let's see what we have on the workbench here. So over here on the phono, for the phono section, so I called up Mike Sanders, and on their website, the Quicksilver website, they have some updated capacitors available. Now look at this, and they just happen to be the exact values that we need for this Quicksilver full function preamp. So here we have the 0.56 400 volt cap for the phono section. And Mike tells me that these are a film and foil polypropylene. So now they're yellow on the side. So I mean, it's kind of similar to a rail cap, but I don't know who makes these. Okay, I don't recognize these numbers. I think this is just the number for the capacity and the rating. But if you know anything about these, let me know. Okay, and then as another option, we have these other capacitors. Now, these are the same value. Now, I had to order these from the UK. They're by a company called Signal Path, and they're made in Switzerland, right? And I think the manufacturer is Le Clanache, Leclanche. I don't know, my French is really bad, but they're the KDS 63s made in Switzerland, and these are also for sure a polypropylene film and foil. Really nice little cap, and I think we could go with these. So, or we could leave the stock ones in there. I don't know. Let me know. What do you think? Okay. And then for the line stage, we also have the updated Quicksilver caps that are reported to be a film and foil, and these have some weight to them. They're a little heavier. They'll fit in perfect. And no, I don't know. What do these look like? Who do you think makes these? I don't know. Let me know what you think. But this is the 0.27. So this is an option. We could do that. Or we could do the Mundorf 0.27. These are now these are not a film and foil. These are a metallized aluminum polypropylene. And these are not the oil. These are just the, if I said oil, I'm mistaken. These are just the aluminum, right? So I didn't see a 0.27 available in the aluminum and oil, only the aluminum. But, these things are really light, right? They're super light. So I don't know, is that, indicative of not having a lot of, metal on the inside? Or is it just a more modern winding? And I mean, maybe it doesn't matter. So anyways, let me know what you think about this for these coupling cap upgrades, right? So we got some really great options. We have the film and foils made in Switzerland. We have the Quicksilver updated polypropylene, supposedly film and foil caps. And then we have, again, the Quicksilver film and foils or the, Mundorf aluminum Evos. For a coupling cap in the line stage. Pretty cool. Okay, let me know what you think. So this is kind of a fun experiment. We broke out the old scale here, and we thought we'd get some capacitor weights, all right? So, this is kind of an interesting experiment. So here is the Quicksilver. Let's see if we can't focus on this. This is the 0.056. All right, this thing's not going to focus on it. This is the little 0.056, so we'll put that there. And looks like we got 2.3 grams, all right? And we'll compare that to, let's see, the Signal Path, which are by a company called La Clanache. My French is really bad. Anyways, they're from Switzerland. You can look these little bad boys up. Let's see, on, I guess you can go to, boy, this phone is just not focusing at all. www.elscap.ch, right? So again, this is the same thing, 0.56, and we'll weigh these. We'll weigh these little guys. Horrible focusing. Wow, 4.4 grams. 4.4, and the Quicksilvers were 2.3, right? So I guess, I don't know. What does that mean? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, one possibility is that that the signal path has a heavier amount of foil in it. Perhaps this is a pure aluminum foil capacitor, and maybe this is not. Maybe this is just a metallized polypropylene. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. So, okay, so we'll compare these. So now we'll do the Mundorf. This is the Mundorf. This is the Mundorf aluminum MCAP Evo aluminum, not the aluminum oil, just the normal aluminum. And this is a 0.27. So we'll weigh this little guy right here. What do we got? We got 3.8 grams, almost 3.9. And we'll compare that to the Quicksilver. This is their new cap, their new generation of caps, 0.27. And this is, again, supposed to be a film and foil, but I don't know. So what do we got? Wow. 7.8. 7.8 versus 3.8. So in this case, the Quicksilver is quite a bit heavier, right? Maybe this is a film and foil and not a metallized polypropylene. All right. So just for fun, this is kind of fun. So here's the Mundorf. This is really interesting. This is a Mundorf. Now this is a 2.2 UF, and this is a metallized polypropylene, metallized film polypropylene aluminum, right? Not a foil, but metallized polypropylene. And this bad boy weighs 31 grams, 31.5 grams. So we'll compare that to what we have here is just a half a mic, smaller, it's a half a mic, but this is an old Conrad Johnson. This is a polystyrene film and foil out of an early Conrad Johnson DAC. And this thing is heavy. This thing is super heavy, right? You won't believe it. It's super heavy. Look at that. 16 grams. 16 grams for a half mic polystyrene film and foil compared to a 2.2 microfarad is 31 grams, right? Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's only a quarter of the capacity, but it's like half the weight. Yeah, this is a really heavy cap. So I don't know. Is a polystyrene a denser material than the polypropylene? Is that it, or is it that it's a film and foil, and that the metal content is so much more? I don't know. What do you think? Oh, we got to do one more. This is just for fun. Okay, so here's an old Conrad Johnson. This is a 10 microfarad cap, and it's a big cap. This is a big cap, and this was out of an output stage of one of their DACs, early model DAC, DA2B or something, I can't remember. And this, I'm pretty sure, is a polyester, probably a polyester film and foil, or polyester film, but it's pretty lightweight. It's pretty lightweight for this size. So at 10 microfarad and 38 grams right there, and we're going to compare that to, look at this bad boy. This is a new Solon. It's a Solon, but it's a pure aluminum film and foil, and this thing is just a monster, man. It weighs. It feels like you're holding a baseball in your hand, man. This thing is huge. This is a pure film and foil, and this thing is supposed to have outstanding specifications. So let's just weigh this one. Oh, it's off the charts. It's off the charts. We need a different scale, right? This thing is heavy. And again, the same capacity, both 10 microfarads, but the film and foil is so much heavier. All right. Thought you'd find that interesting. Okay, well, thanks again for hanging out with this Vintage Quicksilver full function tube preamp. A lot of stuff we went over, cap upgrades, maybe some resistor upgrades, took a good look at the build quality of this guy, and did some fun cap comparisons, all right? So, like I said, inviting your input in the comments. And this is our first video here at Low Power Audio. And we're going to do a lot more stuff like this, okay? You're not going to find anything else like this on the web. With this stuff, we're really going to dig into the engineering aspects and look at some circuit design and try to see where we can improve some of this stuff and fool around with the designer's original intent, okay? Kind of cool. All right. Find us on Instagram, like and follow, give us your comments, and see you next time.